I must say you're two of my most favourite people at Hoxton Wealth.
I do think you say that to everyone.
It's reciprocated. Since you two have met through the business, I feel like the business has been more connected.
We're pretty good at service. Everyone can be better. They can be better, but overall as a business, the quality of the advisors. However, as you scale and grow, that's when service can drop.
I've been a paraplanner, and it was a really good way for me to become an advisor. So by the time I became an advisor, I'd sat over 100 meetings.
Something I talk to a lot of clients about is, yes, you've got to save for the future, but you've also got to live along the way.
People think that Hoxton's only been in the UK for 5 minutes. We haven't. Hoxton have had an office in the UK since the beginning, and most of the assets in the business sit in the UK.
Trump going on all those different podcasts and how it's managed to get him straight into the White House again is clearly obvious that long-form podcast content and collaboration and education is key. Jacob, Jonathon, welcome back to the Hoxton Life podcast. I must say you're two of my most favourite people at Hoxton Wealth.
I do think you say that to everyone, but yeah, okay.
It's reciprocated.
It's reciprocated. Yeah, I am the best here, aren't I? Right, okay. So today on the Hoxton Wealth podcast, the Hoxton Life podcast, we brought you back to discuss collaboration. Because, JJ, you've been here as long as me, haven't you, really?
Yep.
Yeah. Jacob, you've been here quite a
few
while.
Years now.
Part of the furniture. And since you two have met through the business, I feel like the business has been more connected. And I think that's something that we want to do, isn't it? We want to make sure that this international business, this multi-jurisdiction with offices all across the world, that we're not isolating people, that we're not siloing people, that we are one business, we are Hoxton Wealth, and we are international. And it's interesting and it's a challenge. But the way we do it is by getting together and connecting. And you two in very similar roles, one in the UAE, one in the UK, right? Are now connecting and working together. So today we want to talk about that. What have you learned from each other? What have you learned from the different locations that we have around the world? And how are we taking the best parts of each area and implementing it into another area so we create this business with extreme synergy? So how's it been going, guys? You good? Jacob, do you want to kick things off?
Yeah, it's good. I think you've highlighted there, Sam, obviously the business has grown exponentially. In the past, everybody kind of knew each other. Obviously, you joined and then JJ joined and he came into the UK. And not that there was a disconnect, but because there was a relationship there between myself and the guys in the UK before, there was an instant connection, whereas JJ was brand new, building an office very, very quickly. And it could have quite quickly become two businesses if we didn't speak. So even though we both have different areas to work in, we started speaking on the telephone, we got to know each other, obviously met when he came over, obviously got on really, really well. And what that's allowed us to do is understand what the business is doing and making sure we are working to each other's strengths. The other interesting thing, obviously, is JJ grew up here and now has moved back to Liverpool, which is near to where I'm from. I grew up there and I've moved over here. So we've kind of almost swapped roles in a certain way. And he is also a Liverpool fan, which helps.
It does help. It does help.
Trading places, the international version. Fantastic, great. How have you been? How are you finding the whole experience?
Yeah, amazing. As me and Jacob picked up the phone to each other really early on, and believed it was super important that we work closely together, so that we avoid that silo mentality, avoid silos in the business, and like Jacob said, things are going so quickly and growing so quickly in the UK. It's super important that we don't create that two different businesses doing two different things. And we both think in a very similar way. So we believe in collaboration and the team approach, and we're both very much team players. And I believe we build out our teams with that kind of mentality. We bring in people that have that mentality. So we have the same views on how we should build out our teams, which is good, but we obviously have to do it in different ways, given the different markets. But there's lots we can learn from each other and have learned from each other already.
Fantastic. What people need to understand as well, we are an international company, multi-jurisdiction. We have people sitting out here in our Dubai office, which I call the heartbeat of the business, right? I do like that term, the heartbeat of the business. Everybody that I've brought onto the podcast who ends up joining or selling their business to Hoxton, they always say to me, when I walk into that Dubai office, it's like the heartbeat It's different to what I think. And it happened to me when I came to Dubai, which is why I stayed. And that's why a lot of advisors in the UK are really, really interested. They're interested in Dubai, right? And we've got advisors, obviously, in Dubai that are servicing UK clients. So there is that synergy. So I just want to make that really, really clear. Like, if you're part of the business in the UK and you're a financial planner and you're staying in the UK, yeah, you're going to be dealing with UK clients. But if you're based in Dubai, you can do exactly the same. It's interchangeable because we have those multiple jurisdictions. We've got those different licenses. So this is why it's important that the businesses communicate well those different areas, those different countries, to make sure we're not missing opportunities as well. We're offering the same level of client service, proposition, marketing. Everything needs to be succinct, doesn't it? Is there a big crossover? So you've built out a fantastic team now in the UK, just opened up that Liverpool office.
Correct.
I want to ask you first, is the mentality in the UK international, or are they in a UK frame of mind?
It's an interesting question. I think, look, the people that we are bringing on in the UK are likely, a very high percentage of them are likely always going to be UK.
Yeah.
But clearly there's an attraction in working for a global international business. There's people like to explore and learn new things. We are always going to be a UK-focused domestic business, but the fact that we have colleagues that we can work with, learn from, Stuart, for example, and Teresa that have joined us in Liverpool, I think they've enjoyed being able to pick up the phone to people with different experiences in different jurisdictions. So I think we are a UK domestic business for sure, and that's what we're trying to build. We're trying to build that local advisor for local clients. But I think there's a big attraction in being in an international business.
Fantastic.
I suppose on that, just before we go on to the next part, is a big frustration I found from speaking to advisors while we've been going through recruitment and JJ and people think, a lot of people are leaving the UK, right? So you work bloody hard, more so probably down south in London, but work hard, build up a client bank. Your clients start leaving and you just got to wish them well and find someone for them to go to. Well, if you can find someone within your own company that is within Hoxton that can continue that relationship, they might end up back in the UK in 3 years' time and they can go back to you.
Yeah.
You might want to get qualified in a different jurisdiction internationally and continue that relationship.
Yeah.
That's a huge USP. I mean, we talk about this all the time, but we're licensed in multiple jurisdictions and we allow people to work across those. I don't encourage it, so I don't say to people, go and get qualified here, 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 and here, and have clients everywhere, because it's too much. But just being able to keep them in-house is a real big thing, I think.
I love it. We've got the UK and we've got Dubai, right? And we've got two individuals here who are at the forefront of building the business and building the teams in both of those locations. Now, one of the things that I've noticed, 16 years working in recruitment in the UK, there isn't a huge focus a lot of the time on the business development side of generating clients, right? And out here in the international space, there's a big emphasis on that. In fact, it's even part of the career development plan. You start at the beginning and at the beginning is generating some clients. It's not coming in and saying, in the UK, for example, it's come in and sit in and be an administrator and then work your way up to be a power planner, and then we'll put you in front of the client. And by the way, you've got no client experience unless you're lucky enough to be working with an advisor that actually give you that exposure.
For sure.
So is this organic, inorganic? Okay, this is one thing I want to get onto right now. So in the UK, we've got this inorganic approach to growing the business, and that is massively through acquisition that you've been hugely involved with since you've joined. We've hired new advisors into those businesses that we've acquired to service those clients, for example, right?
Correct.
And then over in Dubai, slightly different, right? There's a big emphasis on that business development side. How have you found that? And how have you found understanding how both those businesses actually operate? And what are you doing to implement the positives from each side?
I'm happy to start with that.
Yeah.
So in the UK, we are also bolstering our business. We started with an acquisitive strategy. So we were going to grow by acquisition, service those clients, and use that as an opportunity to then springboard in the UK and build from there. We do have an organic strategy as well in the UK, which is, we've talked about on previous podcasts, which is bringing in advisors who have their own networks, have their own clients, know how to go out and win business. I have the benefit of having worked here in the Middle East and in the UK, so I understand both, which is, I think, maybe useful, and why things have gone so well and why we've worked so well together is because I understand the differences. In the UK, the business development is very much on the advisor. We don't have business developer. Some businesses do have specific business developers that go out and work with introducers and things like that, but largely it falls on the advisors. So we're doing some work around that. We are trying to replicate some parts of that in the UK. So we have a role that we're going to roll out for customer service advisors. But that will be more on the ongoing servicing. So they will work with advisors. They'll pick up the phone every few months, see how clients are getting on, see if there's anything that's changed and anything we need to do. And they will work in that way with the advisors. But what we need to do in the UK is free up, because a lot of business development is actually done out on the road, networking, going out and sitting in the offices of your introducers. We need to free up the advisors to be able to do that. So my focus is making sure that the advisors have the time and the space to be able to do those things with customer service advisors, with a good paraplanning team and a good admin team as well.
No.
And then clearly, so the activity, Jacob talks about activity a lot. That's what we need to allow advisors to do in the UK, have time to be actively out there looking for new opportunity.
But the activity here in Dubai and in the Dubai business if you said activity in Dubai and you said activity in the UK, they mean two separate things, right?
Correct. They do, but they're different, but they all roll back to the same thing. So prospecting, right? Yeah. And our famous word, we talk about it all the time. I suppose talk about the elephant in the room. In the Middle East, over the years, it was quite tough to prospect. Advice has got much, much better. But in the old days, there was a lot of, rogue advisors, I suppose, what we call them, back 10, 15 years ago, which made it quite tough. So you had to actively go out and you had to go and prospect. You had to go and meet people, right? It isn't like people would come to you, right? And I'm not saying in the UK, these guys are just sitting in the office and there's a big queue around the block of people going, give me financial planning. But everyone you meet in the UK, they go, oh, you're a financial advisor. Oh, what do I do about this? And it's a little bit more fluid, okay? Because we've had to learn to prospect, we can turn that in any way, whether it's through networking, whether it's through events or whatever we do. And there's a lot of skills we have internationally because we've had to become bloody good at it because it was quite a challenging market that hopefully I'm going to go spend some time in Liverpool this year, speak about networking strategies, prospecting strategies, see how it goes. But then on the flip side of that, JJ presented this week about lifestyle planning. I mean, we do holistic advice internationally, but what I've always found is to get somebody interested in Dubai, for instance, you have to find a need. So you have to be quite targeted. People here earn quite a lot of money. They think they're doing really, really well, but they may not have a strategy or a plan, whereas the lifestyle planning, so once you onboard them as a client, then going in and looking at all of their goals, their aspirations, their dreams, that allows us to give full holistic planning. So JJ is going to come over and train our guys on the lifestyle planning that he's been doing in the UK, which was incredible and everyone was really interested in. I'll go to the UK, train and help with and give my ideas around prospecting and networking. As you know, I did a lot of that in the past. And that straight away is something that we can both benefit from, and it keeps us in sync. And the UK market, there are advisors that want to prospect. There are advisors that don't. Some people want it all to come to them, but like Teresa and Stuart, those guys, they want to grow their books. They want to have a big business. The other thing that you just mentioned there is we've learned really well how to get advisors doing only what they should be doing. So sitting at night rewriting emails or writing out plans and stuff, we've learned how to scale businesses around people to allow them to do the things that matter and not the things that they shouldn't be doing. And that's something that JJ and I will be working on together as well.
I love it. Net Promoter Score was a big one, wasn't it? We had our conference, our kickoff conference, which I think is just a great way to start the year. 2 days of training and development and workshops dedicated to improving yourself and your journey as a financial planner or a paraplanner or marketing, whatever it might well be. It definitely fired me up. But one of the things that stood out for me was Net Promoter Score. I've seen Net Promoter Scores in different companies across financial services. Foster de Novo, for one, have got it, and they've always banged on about it. And I used to think, is it really that important? And the more I've looked into that Net Promoter Score, and it's the feedback from the clients, it's the experience that the clients are actually having, it's the positive effect that then has in respect of clients being sticky, it's the positive effect that has on clients then referring business or wanting to then step into maybe a lifestyle planning situation where you can offer a deeper level of service, right? How are you now looking at that Net Promoter Score, and what are you doing within each of those locations to ensure, as a business, that we're going to achieve a good, strong Net Promoter Score that indicates that our clients absolutely love the experience that we're giving them?
So similar to what I mentioned around structure and putting teams around advisors, it's really difficult for advisors, particularly when they get to some kind of capacity, to be able to look after their clients really, really well. So we need a team approach to looking after clients. So those customer service advisors and the team, the clients knowing about the team that they're dealing with, not just the advisor. So for our acquisitions, for example, the way we actually remunerate our advisors is all around service. So they have to make sure that they do their reviews with their clients, they do a really good job for their clients. So everything that their bonus, for example, is all linked to KPIs, and those KPIs are linked to service and really looking after the clients really well. The Net Promoter Score is really important. We're a business, Chris in particular loves data, and we don't hide behind I think some businesses hide behind assets under management and revenue and think that that's the be all and end all, and that's how you create success, or that's what determines how successful you are. But if behind the scenes you're not doing a very good job with your clients, one, you're likely to lose clients, and it's going to be harder to get clients. So it's not good enough to just look at how big we're getting, it's also how good we are at looking after clients. So that it's a really positive thing for me. We understand where we are, wherever that sits on the spectrum of really good to not very good, and then we can build on that, and we look to constantly improve on it and have that as good as possible, because we want clients to feel we are their trusted advisor. We want them to see us as being the best financial advisors for them, and that's going to do really good things for us reputationally, I think.
But yourself, Jacob, what are you thinking we could do over in the Dubai space to really kind of push in on ensuring that we are getting a great client experience? I'm so into it because I used to work in customer service, so I'm really keen to understand and dig a bit deeper around this, and I've got loads of ideas myself, I think.
So there's two things here. So as you know, I came on board and initially set up client services, right? So client service is quite a tough role. You know, you're dealing with problems and people that maybe aren't happy, and you know, when you've got 8,000 clients, you'd expect to have a few of those, because you know, things do change in situations and whatnot. I set that up 4 years ago, 3.5, 4 years ago. Realised quite quickly that we're pretty good at service. You know, everyone can be better. You know, they can be better, but overall, as a business, the quality of the advisors, we have a great retention with our advisors, but not only that, we have a great retention with our clients. However, as you scale and grow, that's when service can drop. So when someone goes from 60 clients to 120 clients, without knowing it, they can quite quickly become overwhelmed. Okay, so I'm trying to spot with advisors when that's going to happen. It happened to me 18 months ago. I was doing really well, and then one day it was like, Christ, I've got a lot of clients now, and how am I going to manage all this? And I didn't spot that in my own business. So I try and sit with advisors on a regular basis. I'm building into their business plans at the moment. When are we employing a paraplanner? When do you want a customer service representative? When do you want this? And that is to allow them to continue giving that level of service whilst, if they want to, still onboarding and growing their business. The second thing, and we talk about it a lot, is technology. So we built an application which is the forefront of our business. It's a huge tool to us. The application has been built for our clients. You know, at the end of the day, it's their source of truth. It's there. We have all of the tech team and the developers that are working to make the app the area they go to for everything. And we're working on, as you know, the one-day client, which is quite exciting. But that one-day client strategy is a big piece of work, but including in that piece of work is lots of parts. So when a client wants a service, they can request it on the app. It's date stamped. They can be told when things are happening. They know updates. Things take time. Financial services is not it's not like buying a car. When you walk in, you pay for it and then walk out with the car. You've got to go through a process. There's anti-money laundering, there's compliance, there's checks. Clients don't get frustrated about the time it takes. They get frustrated about not knowing what's going on.
Yeah,
so
correct.
If you give them an app with a wheel, basically, and Chris refers back to Deliveroo. I mean, you can order a pint of milk here in Dubai and track it to your front door. People need that now with everything in their life. Well, that's the whole point of the app. So two things. One is the Net Promoter Score is obviously making sure the clients are being serviced, they're happy, they're doing what they are, which we know they already are, but it's making sure of it and getting feedback from them. But using the app to enhance that experience and make it fast. Speed works as long as it's done in the right way and it's not sloppy. It has to be done in the right way and it has to be processed in the right way.
It has to be part of the process. So I love the idea of visualizing the app as being just a business. So if a client turns up or a client contacts us, they go, the app becomes part of the process. And at every step of the way, whatever you're saying is documented. Whatever they filled out is there ready for them to review. Whatever you're proposing to them is there ready to review, that they can see how their investments are doing any time that they want. And to me, it's just like the app, Hoxton app, is the business, right? That's what it is. And it benefits the advisor. So the advisor can manage expectations of clients. They don't have to be kind of heavily reliant upon, someone being off sick or not being, or a backlog of work or anything along those lines. And the more we integrate technology and AI into the process to help speed up those situations that build efficiency, right? So efficiency is key. Like no one gets so pissed off when I have to wait for things. It does my head in, right? Efficiency is massive. And that's the bit that someone's going to get annoyed with as technology becomes more and more efficient. And if we're not keeping up with it, then we're going to lose clients. And that's the big part of it, isn't it? Is we don't want to lose clients. We want clients to be sticky. I love the whole touching base. I love the whole human interaction, though, because we can buy into this whole AI thing. Oh, AI will do that. AI will do that. AI will do that. We still want to have somebody who is human, who is empathic, who can actually answer a question or a situation and react like a human does, right? It's really, really, really important, which is why these customer service agents are such a big deal. And I love the fact that we're bringing them into them, because there ain't many financial planning businesses out there that focus on customer service, right? It's always left to the advisor to do it. So I absolutely love that. One of the sort of differences that I've seen between the UK and I've seen between Dubai, for instance, right? It's a relatively new role in Dubai, which is paraplanning. Yeah, and paraplanner role's been out in the UK for a long time, not forever, but it's been out now probably for quite a while.
I think it started gaining traction probably about 2005-ish.
Yeah.
When you've seen the early stages of lifestyle financial planning coming in and real financial planning, the financial planning tools.
Yeah.
That's when it started to gain traction. Now, it's impossible to do your job as a financial advisor without having a paraplanner.
Yeah, 100%. But there are differences, aren't there? The role relatively new in Dubai office, for instance. And I was chatting to Dowie, and out here in the Middle East, a paraplanner is pretty much like they're doing a bit of business development. They're doing client experience stuff. They are doing some administration. They're not doing as deep as they are in the UK when it comes to like reports and how technical it has to be. It's like they are a concierge. It's like they're a support to the financial planner. And I think when we go back onto this NPS score and we think about ways that we can learn from both sides of that business is ensuring that our paraplanners are actually talking to clients, that they are putting our clients at ease and they are part of that service and they are being wheeled out. They're not in the back like a mushroom, feed them shit, keep them in the dark, right? We are wheeling them out and we're saying, here's the team, here's a paraplanner, here's the administrator. Oh, look, here's a lovely picture of the compliance manager who ensures that, you're absolutely looked after when it comes from a compliance perspective. Here's myself and here's the trainee financial planner. And all of a sudden people look at it and go, wow, that's amazing. So the paraplanner at the moment in the UAE, from my perspective, is almost like they have a position there to be an experience enhancer. Would you agree? Are there similarities? Is that how it is in the UK as well? What do you think?
I personally think it should be, because I think the other thing we just touched on before is out here, a lot of people start in the business development role to become an advisor, right? If somebody doesn't like business development, doesn't mean they can't be a great advisor. So some of our best pathway advisors, take Declan, for example. Declan was Chris's paraplanner. He does not want to be working marketing leads. He does not want to be networking. However, his process, his ability with clients is incredible. So I actually think a paraplanner to an advisor is still a fantastic route because they understand the technical.
I do as well.
They're great at process. They come and work. So I've got Lewis working with me at the moment. He's brilliant. Lewis is now co-servicing my clients with me. He's spotting things for my clients that maybe I've not had a chance to spot, and it's really important that they're not just sat in the background, because the other thing you mentioned there was AI and technology, right? A lot of the report writing in the old days was done by paraplanners. Technology is going to make that better. So why not have a paraplanner that's a little bit more rounded and can do the client side as well? and becomes the source of truth that works alongside you. It's about building a team that has the knowledge to do what they're good at. So I might be very good at the going out and finding clients and the client facing. I might not be as good at the writing the report and doing the background. I don't have to be. Why should I have to learn something that isn't a strength of mine? Get someone in your team that's good at it and use them to do that as well.
Yeah. It's unrealistic, I think. I'm going to touch on something else at the moment now, away from that. But I think it's unrealistic to expect an international business to have the same culture across the world when businesses are based in... So when sections of that businesses are based in different countries, because different countries themselves have different culture, right?
Correct.
So how do you... This is putting it out there, really, because it's on my mind, you know. It almost feels a bit controlling to have everything the same, right? And in my head, it was like, oh, it's got to be the same. It's got to be succinct. But it's like, well, no, because you can lean into the differences. And I want to know what you think about that, because that's on my mind quite a lot. Because from a marketing perspective, I'm always thinking about that. And one of the things that I did last year, if you remember, with Mike Yule, was go to France and see what it's like to be an international financial planner from France, and how he lives his life and how he approaches financial planning in France while still servicing US clients and UK clients and whatnot. And this year, I want to do more of the same. Mm-hmm. But for me, what's exciting is the differences.
Differences are really important. You need diversity of thought. So you need different people from different backgrounds all coming together. Different offices might have a slightly different approach in terms of culture, but you need to have your core principles. So we've got our 3 core culture principles, or 3 core values: no ego, hardworking, and driven, ambitious. So people who want to grow, people who are willing to do the hard work to get there, and people that don't bring an ego with it. If you focus around those things, you could bring different people from different backgrounds who offer different things. And so on the paraplanning point, I've been a paraplanner, and it was a really good way for me to become an advisor, because what I did is I used it to my advantage. I did all of the technical stuff in the background, got really comfortable with that. Then I would sit in the meetings with the advisors and got to the point where I was ultimately started off by contributing to meetings, ended up leading the meetings. So by the time I became an advisor, I'd sat over 100 meetings we talked about it 4.5 years ago on our first podcast. That's how I became an advisor. The paraplanners, for me, there's a spectrum of paraplanners. Some are more technically focused and they never really want to speak to clients. That's fine. But we will have some paraplanners who maybe have ambitions of becoming an advisor in the future that are really keen to be able to spend some time being a liaison for clients, being able to pick up the phone, or clients be able to pick up the phone to them if their advisor's not around and things like that. So it's about building a team with different skill sets, because those guys who are focused more on actually becoming an advisor might not be as motivated about being super technical.
Yeah.
So you just build a skill set with different people for different personalities.
It's refreshing to hear that, because I know it works.
Just on that though, so I suppose the one thing that we do need to talk about is AI.
Yeah.
AI is coming in fast, and people go, oh, it's taking my job. AI is never's a strong word, but not in the near future, is going to be able to deal with the emotion with a client. Okay. Clients sometimes need to be taught and made to feel what it feels like if they don't do things right. And paraplanning, the technical side, could be taken by AI and it could be but that emotional and that working with a client and helping them lifestyle planning to understand the goals. And something I talk to a lot of clients about is, yes, you've got to save for the future, but you've also got to live along the way. You know, as you know, I lost my parents quite young. You know, they worked for all their life and didn't get a chance to spend their money. Technically, they would have been told to save, because you could live till you're 90. It's about having that emotional intelligence to work with clients, and that's where that client relationship comes in. So that's why I think it's so important that we still have that interaction, and that's why I get all the paraplanners, if they want to speak to clients.
I think the technical knowledge is massively important, and then the connection between the advisor, the paraplanner, and the client, I think.
Well, while we're on the subject of paraplanning, and to give a really good example of the collaboration between the UK and People think that Hoxton's only been in the UK for 5 minutes. We haven't. Hoxton have had an office in the UK since the beginning, and most of the assets in the business sit in the UK. Because we've had a lot of expats that have repatriated back to the UK. But that was kind of, so there has been, until very recently, 2 parts to the UK business. You have the international advisors who look after expatriate clients, UK expats that have then moved back to the UK. And then now, we last year started building our UK domestic business. We've done a huge amount of work since I joined on process, building out a paraplanning team, being able to support the advisors, being able to get stuff done quicker, building out the compliance team and the functions, all that sort of stuff. So we've done loads of really good work. We hadn't done the same for the international advisors doing UK. So what we've spoken about very recently is actually, and very soon, we're going to combine the two. So that international advisors doing UK work will be able to use our paraplanning team, tap into that technical team. We'll be able to benefit from all the processes and the speed that we're getting through things, get consistency. We're using report writing tools with our paraplanning team. And it's really important what you said about AI replacing paraplanners. If you are a business that does very transactional work and you don't do the lifestyle piece and you're just selling products and solutions and your reports are really templated, you're probably, as a paraplanner, at risk of that, because it's pretty easy for an AI tool to be able to do that. Where you're not at risk is if you're working with advisors and teams and businesses that are really committed to the full holistic piece, which is why we spend a hell of a lot of money on our app and developing that, which is a lifestyle planning tool and will be developed into that. But we are bringing those two things together to, that collaborative piece, so that the international guys, one, work with our UK team and we work together and we have a consistent approach and we improve the quality and consistently refine it.
It's great as well because we've got a head of paraplanning now that sits in Dubai who looks after UK domestic business. Correct. So you can start to see that synergy actually happening in that crossover. And what I also love about the fact that you two are in the roles that you're in and how closely connected that you actually are, is just how you both think. You don't sit on your hands and go, well, that's working for me, so I'm going to keep it that way. You both have the mindset similar to me in the sense that you're always looking for ways to connect things. How can I connect things? How can I make things better? And you're not afraid to take one from one area and move it to somewhere else. So you've got an advisor who's based in Dubai tapping into the UK side of things to make sure that the quality of service and delivery is a lot higher. So that not only benefits the client, but it benefits the advisor. So an advisor out here thinking, I want to be doing more domestic work. Now, I've got paraplanners here in my Mickey Mouse financial planning business that isn't Hoxton. Thinking, well, if this person's not good enough, you go and join Hoxton, you can tap into a team in the UK that are dealing with domestic clients and are trained well and experienced well, doing deep technical work. Bang, all of a sudden, the quality of your work goes through the roof, doesn't it?
Think about it like that, though. So, we're so lucky that we've brought JJ in and we're building out that UK presence, right? I've been here 12 years. I'm not rushing to go back to the UK.
Yeah.
Not going to happen. However, what happens if in a couple of years I need to go back to the UK, right? Or one of my advisors wants to go back to the UK. And if we didn't have that office and that structure in the UK, there's a good chance they'd probably go and work somewhere else. At Hoxton, we're all about retention. That's retention of clients and retention of advisors. We want it to be a pathway from, as we talked about before, Sam, you can start with us straight out of school and you can retire with us and sell your client back to the business. If someone decided next week, I want to go and live in the UK, perfect. Straight back. JJ, we've got offices there. We'd let them go straight across, transition in. JJ and the team could take them up. Equally, if there's someone in the UK that started and had the desire to move abroad, they come over to me and we'll just swap, and that's why it's so important that we know each other's people. That's why I want to go. I don't want to go to the Liverpool office to do training sessions. I just want to get to know the people because I learn off people everywhere I go. I'm always learning. I've learned off JJ, I've learned from you. If I go back and spend time with Teresa, Teresa does a lot with the farming community in the UK. Yep. I've got a huge family. My stepdad is a agriculture, an agronomist. It'd be great to hear what she does and tell him about it and get him telling, and I might be able to help her business. We can all help each other if we're willing to learn. And the big thing at Hoxton, and you've said this before, we're so open.
Yeah, man.
We'll tell each other everything. Yes, we're in an environment where we want to do well, and we're all, we have a bit of competitive. We want to do well, but we do it together. It's no egos, and it's that Chris calls it no dickheads, doesn't he? But
Yeah.
it's no egos, and it's about giving back to each other.
Yeah, it's collaboration, not competition. There are two things that I've noticed since I've come in. There are two things, sorry, I'm really excited about since coming into the business, right? One is you are an open business and you're not a closed book, and you actually care about others outside of the business learning what it's like to give good quality international financial planning and to kind of make sure that the international financial planning industry, is what it's kind of known as, is actually a profession out here. It's taken seriously on an international basis. And I think we're doing a really good job of educating the financial planning community, especially within the UK, that we're a proper outfit. We're into DIFC this year. That's going to be huge out here. I mean, that's going to be fantastic for us in the business, but it's just ensuring that people who are on the outside looking in don't have this idea and perception of the cowboy days of international planning. And we're doing a really good job on that. So that I'm really pleased with. And the fact that Chris had the foresight to also say, let's get a podcast out there and let's get communicating that message, and was open and up for that, was hugely refreshing to me, because there ain't many financial planning companies in the UK even that are doing what we're doing at the moment. And I've banged that drum for quite a while. I think this year we will start to see it. And I think we'll see that because of the whole Trump situation, Trump going on all those different podcasts and how it's managed to get him straight into the White House again. It's clearly obvious that long form podcast content and collaboration and education is key. Business is going to look at that and they're going to invest quite heavily into that. We're ahead of the game. And I love that. So for me, that's really, really important. A byproduct of that is you two sat on the sofa right now, me here. We're having this communication, right? So people within the business no longer look at Dubai as being this office over there you have no idea of, and every now and then some, simple bit of social media comes out, but you don't really understand what's going on there. The podcast like this and the YouTube channel that we're creating is bringing it to life. It's bringing it to life. So from an internal culture perspective, it then becomes easier to relate to other people within the business and to learn from other people within the business. How many people have you had come up to you say, oh my God, I didn't know that about you, or you didn't know that about some of the people that were in your team? So we're all learning from each other from that cross collaboration. Collaboration, not competition, no ego, no dickheads. That is massive, really, really, really big for me. And I love that. And that is going to just grow. It's just going to go over the next couple of years. And that is what's going to help our business absolutely accelerate, because it's a learning tool, it's a collaboration tool, it's a culture tool. One of the other things you said was from school all the way through. There ain't many companies out there that are setting up a community for free for anybody internationally that wants to learn about international financial planning. Oliver Gorman has set that community up. It was International Advisor this week. So if anybody's listening to this now thinking, I want to become an international financial planner, you've got no experience, join that group, because we're going to put extra content into that group. We're going to educate you. And what I love about that is that we're giving back, again, collaboration. Doesn't matter if you work for us or not, or if you're going to get that information and you're going to come into that ecosystem. Now, if you come into that ecosystem, we're going to nurture you, right? And you might end up in our business. What's wonderful is as this business grows, you might end up in Mexico City, because we've just opened an office in Mexico City for business development managers, which is absolutely fantastic place to go and cut your teeth as a financial planner. You might end up in the USA, you might end up in Australia, which you're hiring for, South Africa, the GCC, in the UK. It doesn't quite matter, but what we're doing is we're educating. And that for me is hugely important. And you wait, because that will just go boom. It will just grow. And it's good for us internally, but it's good for us externally. I love that.
Definitely. We spend lots of time. We talk about it all the time, speak about it with Chris. As a leadership team, we spend a lot of time looking out at the financial service landscape, US, UK, look for different examples of what's being done really well. We're really good at pulling in the stuff and taking inspiration from others. We know we don't know it all and haven't got it all figured out, which is really important. That's where the no ego thing comes in. We also spend zero energy worrying in a negative way about what other people are doing. So we don't get concerned by competition, because it's important, and that because there's always a benchmark there, and we try to push ourselves above that benchmark. And yeah, it's a really exciting business. But the no ego thing is super, super important. And then the platform we are sharing now together. People see that me and Jacob leading the two different businesses are working really closely together, have a good relationship. We don't have egos. We're willing to learn from each other. We don't think we've got it all figured out. We are competitive for sure, but that's also important. But not to the point that it gets in the way of us being collaborative.
The other thing now in collaboration is, you said it before, what works here might not work in the UK. What works in the US might not work here. However, there will be something that works in the US. There'll be something that works in Australia. There'll be something that works in India. There'll be something that works in the UK. And as a business, because the leadership team's so close-knit, we can sit down in a boardroom, talk about what's going well and go, would that work in the UAE or would that work in the UK? And over time, we can build each location and take the best bits from all of those other jurisdictions and bring them to that location. So we have the advantage of learning from, like, the US leads the way in certain areas of financial planning. In a lot of ways, the US leads the way in a lot of areas, but not everything. But we can learn from the US, but we can also give back to the US. And that's where this international business, and that's why the importance of this is so important. If we just siloed everyone off and it was like, well, who's he over there? Or, I don't need to worry about Jonathon or JJ. It, like, doesn't work. It's that collaboration again.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm really looking forward to this year to go to the different locations like I did with Mike Yule. I want to go to Australia. I want to go to the States, South Africa. I want to go around India. I want to go to these different locations, Southeast Asia.
Liverpool.
Yeah, I can't wait for Liverpool. Summer for Liverpool.
Yeah.
Liverpool in that list doesn't sound like but it's God's country.
It's God's
country. You're very welcome,
We'll
Sam,
take
as a
it.
Bristolian.
I don't think I've ever gone north of Birmingham. I have, but you know, I try not to.
Make sure you bring your passport.
Bring my passport, yeah.
Sunny day in Liverpool, mate. You'll have a cracking day out.
Fantastic. One of the things I want to end on, though, is this, okay? Because there's going to be people listening. They're probably going to be financial planners, right? And they want to just know, like, I'm interested in joining Hoxton. I'm kind of interested in international. I'm thinking about maybe not being in the UK or... What would you say to a financial planner, right? So they're looking at us from the outside looking in. They're thinking they want to become a financial planner within our business. What is the best approach to actually coming in and understanding how we actually operate outside of the podcast? And then how would you two work together? How would you work together to make sure that advisor isn't a bum fight to try and get some fantastic financial advisor? How are you guys working together to actually make sure that you position them in the right place for the right reasons for that advisor to get the best out of their career, medium, short, long term, whether or not they want to go international, as in live abroad?
I suppose from my side, for the international, advisor in the UK has got clients. The first thing he wants to do is speak to Jonathon. Speak to JJ. Sit down with JJ, talk about what can happen. Can they keep his clients? Does he want to sell his clients? And then off the back of that, I can then talk to him about the international business. As far as I'm concerned, we work in collaboration, like we said, all the way through. If he wants to go into the UK first, come over here. If he wants to come over here first, whatever works. But I would just say have a conversation with both of us. We've done it a lot recently, actually, and we've told them about both sides of it, and it works real. The other thing I always say to everybody that's joining the business, don't make a decision. Jump on a plane, come meet us. You know, we'll line up the managers in the business like we did with you, like we did with JJ. You know, come and kick the tires, come and see what we're about. You know, we're not scared to open the doors and say, come on in and have a look, because it's a big decision, you know, and the last thing I want is to move all the way over here and decide it's the wrong decision. So, yeah, it's collaboration. But, I mean, the first thing is speak to both of us. Find out what works.
And if a good advisor joins Hoxton, they join Hoxton. It doesn't matter whether they're in the UK or in the UAE or anywhere else. It doesn't matter. But we need to... what we need to be careful of is people making career moves for the right reason and doing the right thing. So, again, because I have the experience and know the UAE and know the market, I don't know as well as Jacob, but I do understand what it takes and how difficult it can be, particularly if, I don't know, if you've got a young family and, like, it's an expensive place to live over here. Yep. If you've got a young family and you've got to pay for school fees, we don't want people to make the move and then be struggling, and we need to avoid that. So we can help someone, for example, if someone's got ambitions in a few years or kind of maybe they want to do it now, but we can help them do it over a couple of years, is join us in the UK, build up a critical mass, build up an earning that can support you in the UAE, and then you do it with comfort and you know that you've got things covered, and then you can start to build in the UAE knowing that you've got the client bank in the UK that you can continue to service and look after. Like there are options, and we can explore all options, but we need to make sure that we're definitely not a a volume business, just loading ourselves with as many advisors as possible and hoping some of them do well and stick. We want to make it super clear as to what it takes to succeed in the different markets, and we just put people where we believe they're best positioned now, and then any stuff in the future we can sort of figure out.
Does it matter about the advisor whether they have assets, don't have assets? Is that a big deal for you? Should anybody really apply to Hoxton, come into our ecosystem, and perhaps there's somewhere they would fit? Or are you looking for a certain type of individual? Now, I've got an opinion on that. I think if you're going to come out to somewhere like the UAE, and you touched on it, it's expensive, right? I think gone are the days where companies are trying to convince people to come out here and hope that they're going to do well and stick them on a self-employed contract. I just think that's totally dishonest and totally wrong. I think, if you're coming out to somewhere like Dubai and you're going to become a financial advisor here, you really need a client bank, right? You've either got really great connections here and you're going to do business, or you've got an existing client bank, say in the UK, that you can lean into and actually take an income from, because it is expensive and it's going to be tough. So that's my personal opinion on the international space there as well. What do you think? And is that the same across the UK?
And this will be different.
I think this will be different, but internationally, I think there's two things that work.
Yeah.
First thing is someone's got assets, obviously, but not someone that's got assets doesn't want to. If you're early in your career, got a little bit of assets and don't want to grow, we're not the business for you, okay? If you're late in the career, got a big bank of assets and want to, be at a company you can be at and manage those clients and think that's fine. The other one is if you haven't got assets, you've got to have a growth mindset. You've got to understand this is an apprenticeship. You're coming in, you're going to have to work bloody hard. But if you do work bloody hard, it will work for you. Hard work's the only thing I can't teach people generally if they've got something about them. You're not going to come in, sit at your desk, and people are going to start ringing you, asking you to come and give them advice. Right? That's not happening. So you either need something behind you, or you're going to have to grit, get stuck in, and do very, very well. That's the international side. UK will be slightly different, but that's my thoughts on the international business.
Yeah. And UK, we had a whole podcast on it, but two types of people. We're spending a huge amount of financial resource on acquisitions. Those acquisitions, we will bring servicing advisors, either career servicing advisors, people who are very focused on service, not necessarily growth. They like to look after clients and do the long-term approach with clients, or more inexperienced advisors that don't really have the skill set yet to go out and drive their own business and build their own business. So we got the servicing element, and then we got the entrepreneurial advisors with books of business, that sort of stuff, that will also come and help us grow organically. I think actually on both sides there'll be changes in the future as we grow, get bigger, we free up cash flow. Because obviously we're spending a huge amount of our financial resource on acquisitions. That means that we need to manage cash flow. In the future, as that gets freed up, we might be able to take on more senior advisors, support them for a few years before they get up to a certain level of assets. In the UAE, in the UK, we'll have more free cash flow for academies and training plans for advisors, and bringing in more junior advisors and giving them a few years to get going. But I think right now we know the sort of people that we want to come into the business and need to come into the business.
Fantastic. And we still do support trainees as well. So if a trainee wants to start in the UK, they can start in the UK. We support them with a salary and everything. And if they ever came out to Dubai, then we would know in the UK whether or not it's going to be the right fit for them. And some of those has gone through it. It's not a foregone conclusion that you're going to go and work in Dubai, and some of them don't actually want to. So I think, having the option is amazing. It's just not a foregone conclusion that is the process, and that is where you're going. Tech focused, right? Lifestyle planning, international financial planning, connected. These are all these words now that actually sum up what Hoxton Wealth is all about. Innovative, marketing focused, lead generation, words that you don't really attach to financial planning, right? I think we are creating something relatively special here.
It's okay to talk about lead generation and growth. Some firms have lost that.
They've lost it, yeah.
And I think it's fine. And also it's okay if you run a business and you have reached the point where you're happy and you're running a lifestyle business, and it suits you and your lifestyle as a business owner. But that's not us. We want to grow. We want to build the not just the biggest, but the best global financial planning business.
Right.
And that's fine for us to
shout about it.
Yeah,
There's nothing wrong with that.
It's
Crikey.
got to be a bit disruptive as well. At the end of the day, there's no point following the trend. You know, Chris is quite vocal about not following the trend, and we've done a fantastic job of it.
Yeah,
we do
create
right for
our own
clients,
story.
we do right for advisors, we retain people, and we grow. And at some point, you know, we might have grown big enough and we'll be happy. I mean, but right now, that's not stopping. And if you want to grow and you want to be around that environment, you know, it's infectious. It is infectious.
As we end this podcast now, I want to know one thing each, which you're super excited about in 2025.
We in the UK have built the foundations of something special. I'm excited to build out a really build on that. I'm excited to build on that. Build a really strong. I think by the end of 2025, we'll have a really strong, credible, sizable team in the UK, and we're looking forward to where we take it.
Well, JJ, you've done a phenomenal job since you've been here. Like, you've absolutely smashed the UK. And as an introduction into the business from myself, I'm super proud of you, mate. I think you've just absolutely nailed it. And
Not very good at this part,
but I think everybody,
second that.
I think
Second,
everybody
thank you.
else would say that as well. So, like, if anyone's coming into this business, is going to be working in the UK and they're going to be working with you, it's night and day. I was told yesterday. Tom told me, the acquisition guy, is night and day. Since JJ's joined, night and day. So well done, mate. Feedback's absolutely spot on. And with you at the helm, we're going to fucking smash it, mate. So well done, my man.
Thank you.
Jacob.
So for me, obviously, Dubai, the international business turned a huge corner last year. We really set ourselves on the map. More of the same. I'm really excited to open DIFC. Obviously, that's a huge thing for us here in the UAE. We didn't really focus on the UAE. We're going to hit the UAE market. We're going to really make a stamp here this year with the DIFC and the events we're doing. And then I suppose, you said one thing. I'm excited to see the other areas grow as well. You know, I'm excited to watch the US. You know, I know Chris is going to focus quite heavily on the US this year. Mexico, UK, Australia, Europe. You know, the list goes on and on. So for me, it's more about more of the same, doing it better, and then just seeing where we go from here.
Yeah, fantastic, mate. Well, look, short time that I've been here now, it's nearly coming up to hopefully nearly a year in a couple of months' time, right? You've been a phenomenal part of my journey, so supportive. Everybody talks positively about you. Paul Martin's been in the hospital, isn't he? Right? You're out there raising money for him, helping support him. We had that younger chap from the BDM team that was in hospital over Christmas with his bad back, and you were the man who went and visited him. You're probably one of the most empathic and kindest people that we have in this business. And that's what a business actually needs as well. We need leaders that push us and grow us and make us push forward and keep us out of our comfort zone. But we also need a little bit of compassion and kindness. And you're one of those really great guys. And again, anybody coming out and working with you and working underneath you, that is going to just drip down into the culture of the business. And it's one of the things that has drawn me into you as a person and has drawn me into the business, and you were one of the reasons that I joined. So anybody coming into that international space is going to love it. I'm going to echo everything that you said, because the harder you guys work, the more work that I get, and what I get to enjoy is telling everybody about what a wonderful company this is, how we can connect it across the world to become the leading international financial planning business. So keep up the great work with you and your teams, because you're giving me work to do, and I'm super pumped to bring this story to life here at Hoxton Wealth.
Love it.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you, Sam.